The views and opinions expressed during Love and Life with Lana and Dave are those only of the speakers and guests and do not necessarily reflect the official policy or the position of our podcast hosts or affiliates. Any content provided is not intended to malign any religion, ethnic group, club, organization, company, individual, anyone, or anything. All right, let's do it.
You're listening to Love and Life with Lana and Dave, the podcast where logic is power and you take control. Thank you for tuning in and making the choice to listen in and get ideas for your own love and life. Now, here are your hosts, Lana Williams and David Vaccaro.
Let's get right into part 2 of our February episode, unless you have somewhere to be. But I do want to get into this real quick. We were talking before the podcast about value. And I really want to get into this because this seems like a topic that's interesting and something that I want to see if we can get feedback from listeners. Being the selfie generation, being Gen X, I find selfies to be just disjointed and odd and weird. All right. So, and we talked about this. If both of us, Dave and I, let's say we meet on a dating site, I like how you look, and I'm like I like how you, or whatever. We both decide we're going to talk and meet, and we've both seen each other. We know what each other looks like from videos, or let's say I send him a full length picture, he sends me one, whatever it is, so that we get the information we need.
Right.
And I will say really quick, if you're somebody who's showing your face only and you're offended that somebody wants to see you from the waist down, maybe you should be dating.
Yeah, I'm going to do that from now on. That's a good idea. I'm going to say, can you send me a full body picture?
Height for men. If you're 5'7", you want to tell people you're 6 feet, that's going to back up on you at some point.
Yeah,
it's not going to be true.
You show up at the date. Yeah.
So listen, if you're 5'7", what they call them, if you're a short king, right?
Is that what they call them?
That's the word.
Short kings?
You short kings out there. If you are 5'7", fucking be 5'7".
That's right.
You got to go to the gym and work out because it makes you feel better, whatever the case may be, which a lot of short guys do, by the way.
Sure.
They're gym fanatics. And that works for them, whatever. But what I'm saying is, you are you, and to get more women at 5'7", it doesn't make sense. What you really need to do is find your demo. People that are interested in you.
Like that. Yeah. What's wrong with it?
That's it.
Nothing.
Be who you are, and people who like that. Now, I guess it's possible to be who you are and have absolutely nobody in the world like that, but that's really fucking unusual and probably not going to happen.
That's not going to be the case.
If you're, whatever your thing might be, I don't want her to know I'm 5'7", so I'm going to try to make myself look. Example of this, and a perfect live example of this would be Kevin Bacon, who I've actually met.
Mm-hmm.
And up until the time I met Kevin Bacon, I thought he was fucking 6 feet tall because they shoot him like that.
Yes, they do.
Now, they don't anymore like they used to, but when we were kids.
Kevin Bacon looked tall. Yeah.
They did something where they put heels on him or whatever they did.
Who else looked tall? What the hell?
Probably Tom Cruise.
Tom Cruise, 100%. Yeah. I always thought he was a tall guy until
he's like 5'6", I think. He's like my height.
Yeah,
they literally put it. They did. They put him on milk crates. They did. I've seen stories about that.
Mm-hmm.
And personally, I think Tom Cruise has his own issues. So I'm sure probably part of that was him demanding to be looking taller, right? Because he didn't want anybody to see him look short. Or he has his own ego and pride and whatever. But my point is, you're trying to date.
That was a thing they did back in the day.
Kevin Bacon is like, in person, is one of the most unassuming people you'll ever meet. As a matter of fact, if he's walking through a store, you probably wouldn't even, he's like that. He's just real quiet, really nice guy, but he's not, hi, I'm Kevin Bacon. The way that he shows up in movies is nothing like he, presents in real life.
Yeah.
The point is, be who you are. Obviously, you want to be on social media and you want to make sure that you play to your strengths, but don't make your strengths so much of a representative that it doesn't represent you anymore.
Right.
So I say to Dave, all right, here's my full-length picture. Dave goes like this, hey, I dig that shit. And I'm like, all right. And I find out Dave's, what are you, 5'10"?
No, I'm 6 feet.
6 feet? Okay.
I'm 6
I don't fucking know. I don't pay attention but I'm like, all right, I'm good with that. You never know. Some women might not like tall guys. Some guys think all women want that. Maybe some don't.
Yeah, no. Yeah.
So we go through all of that. And then Dave and I are just doing our usual thing. I get up and Dave goes, good morning, beautiful, or whatever the fuck you would normally say.
It depends.
Not. Because
it depends.
If anybody knows me, they'll notice that when I read that, my eyes roll. I go, oh, God.
Yeah, she's going to roll her eyes and go.
Here we go. Another one of these good morning. It doesn't even matter if you say beautiful. Even good morning in general. Like, why? to me, a conversation is an ongoing thing. And so every time you say good morning, it's like saying hello all over again. Like that dude in 51st Dates, that guy Tom, that 10-second Tom guy.
Yeah.
In the middle of the conversation, he goes, "Hi, I'm Tom." It's what it feels like to me every time somebody said to me, "Good morning, good night," whatever. Yeah. We're talking and we're jiving with each other. And then all of a sudden, Dave sends me like a picture of him in front of his RV. And I go like this. Okay, we were talking about turtles. So this is weird because I don't know.
Yeah, right.
He sends me a picture in front of his RV and like, I don't know what I'm supposed to do with this picture now.
Yeah, I might send you a picture of a turtle that I found.
Like, that makes total sense.
Yeah, and it is a little strange. And again, we're in the digital world today. So people are like, here's where I am. And it's, look, I will send pictures of, what I send pictures of?
What?
When somebody says, "Oh, what'd you have for supper?" Because I take pictures of me cooking, like my food stuff.
But Dave, that's an answer to the question. That makes sense.
Yeah. Or I'll send a picture and be like, "Oh, look, I just made a steak." Part of the conversation. That is, I understand that, but you're right.
If you send me a picture of you staying in front of something, or just a picture of you general, what are you looking for? So I don't have a problem with that per se, but there's no way as a curious person, I ain't going to fucking ask. And then when I ask, it's a big to-do that goes on with the other person asking me why I'm asking. And then it goes down this rabbit hole of, what do you mean? What am I doing? And it's just like, dude, you just sent the picture. Are you going to tell me you didn't do that? Okay, yeah, I did. Why? And why doesn't mean I'm telling you it's wrong that you did it. I'm genuinely asking you why, because I can't give you what you want if I don't know.
What does this picture represent? That's all you're asking, really.
I go like this. The only thing I can do that doesn't cause offense is, what am I looking for in this picture?
What am I looking at? Yeah.
Okay. Oh, this is a picture of me. Yeah, I know, but I've already seen 12 pictures of you. It's not like I wanted a picture of you because I don't know what you look like, because we've gotten past this point. We're now aware of this. And don't get me wrong, my interaction is always informational. It's never to bond. Right. That's a very different thing. Hi, how are you? How's the weather? Hey, what's going on? Hey, what are you eating tonight? That's fucking bonding conversation. I get that I have to do it. I'll be honest with you, it makes me want to pull my fucking hair out. I hate it. But I get that this is kind of part of it. As long as it doesn't go on forever, I don't care. But when you send me just like a random picture, here's me in my data guy that's like a guy that's fucking working in construction. Here's me in my Caterpillar. Great. But why are you showing this to me? So I have to come back and go, you think that I was worried that you didn't have a job and like maybe I needed like a show and tell from you? Maybe my overanalyzation of people is a little bit blunt and forward. But I don't want to cut to the chase. I don't want to have to sugarcoat my question. So I'm just, okay, the elephant in the room is that we were having a conversation and then you sent me a picture and like, I don't know why you did. Why wouldn't I ask you?
Right. Is it? What am I looking at?
I thought you might want to see me in the morning. I'm like, maybe I would have told you that. Like, I'm definitely not shy. I would have fucking asked for it. I would have said, show me a picture of you. I'm not.
Or at least have a caption, right? Like, so
a caption.
On my dating site, I literally have a picture of me first thing in the morning with my hair all sticking up and I'm making a thumbs up. And people are like, I love that picture. And I go, that's what I look like in the morning. Just a heads up. So if we ever do end up in a relationship and you wake up next to me, that's what I'm going to look like. But that's your
context. Like, you're actually giving context about
There's
that.
Context,
also, it's a dating site picture, which is a different thing because
that's totally,
it's in a lineup of pictures, which you're supposed to do, right? But if we're just talking and somebody says, I sent you a picture of me because I figured you'd send me a picture of you. And I'm like, there's two negatives for me right there. I don't know what. One, I don't want a picture of you. And two, I'm not sending you a picture of me. So none of this is anything I wanted to participate in at all. But Dave, I was telling Dave this because he was saying something like, if I date a stripper or if I date somebody that is in the sex industry or has an OnlyFans or something like that, I'm not going to probably consider her as a marriage material. And there's a whole reason for that, including the Madonna whore syndrome, which we won't get into. But it is what it is, and that's fine. And then he started to say, if there's this beautiful woman in front of me naked and she gets in bed with me, I'm honored by that. Am I paraphrasing? Yeah. Am I getting it right?
Pretty close.
And I said, what's the difference? If she's out sharing herself with everybody else, and I'm like, there's that word sharing. There's sharing. What is that concept, right?
So it's not so much about the sharing, and I can elaborate a little more. It's the fact that for example, where does that line get drawn, right? In other words, there is a line. What line is? It depends on the person, on your choice of the line, right? Mm-hmm. So my line might be a little different than others. I may be like, I don't know if anybody knows, you do. I used to date a porn star. So there was a line, right? that and it was a pretty far line because that's porn.
But that's what the guys in music, don't they?
Yeah, And then after a certain period of time, I started looking at her, and I was very attracted to her. And I got to the point where it was like, okay, now we're living together. She's not doing porn anymore, but she's still stripping. And then I was looking at her body going, that is a beautiful body. And I feel honored that I get to see that every day, but so does everybody else. So to me, that's nothing special for me. It's not.
That's so weird. I just don't.
But okay, when you're in a relationship with somebody, there's got to be some things that you only share with each other, not everybody else.
That's
Otherwise,
so weird because that concept is lost on me as a person in a relationship.
But I don't understand that. So where do you draw the line? Is it okay?
You know me. I mean, I would take guys that are hot and put them on a fucking stage. So I really don't. I'd love to share what I have with the world because they're not getting what I'm getting. So it doesn't make. I don't feel like what people see makes any difference. So you just said it. They're not getting what I'm getting. What if they are? Then that means he's sleeping with everybody else. So that's not a relationship.
Okay,
we're not together.
So where's the line? To me, it's if everybody sees my penis, is it special to you? No.
It's not special to me anyway.
I know that, but you know what I'm talking about.
The reason I bring that up,
you're rare, by the way, because most women do know you're rare.
I literally would put a guy that I was dating on a stage to rake money on, and you can talk to a couple of my ex-boyfriends because they've been asked. And one of them has been. I put one of them in a loincloth and made him fucking serve drinks. Hey, I don't want to be greedy about my hot guy.
Okay,
right?
So yeah, but
why shouldn't I share? Look how cute this dude is. Why should I keep him in a fucking closet? This doesn't make any sense.
Yeah,
but again,
like I said, you're rare. I would talk to 99% of all women, and they would be like, "Oh hell no."
And then there's me. As a matter of fact, Dave and I will have had this conversation, and you can ask several people I've dated, if you can find any, how many of them I've dragged to strip clubs.
Right.
And women who have been, how can you drag a guy to a strip club and some chick comes along and she's naked and...
You're looking at a naked woman too. So that is a little bit different. And you're right. There are women that don't like it.
There are women who think that I'm like parading naked women in front of a guy that I'm with and that's going to change my relationship.
As well,
somehow.
It shouldn't. It should definitely not.
Now, I am extremely, like I said before, I'm intrinsically motivated, and maybe because I'm a dismissive avoidant, which means a lot of things. I don't attribute that kind of behavior to whether or not, let's say this. This isn't like a gauge of the health of my relationship. It doesn't even have anything to do with that to me. Now, I don't date guys who would be changed by that. Which is why most of them won't go with me in the first place to a strip club, and I gotta beg them to come on. Why not? I don't like that whole thing. I don't know. Most guys I date don't care for strip clubs anyway, and I'm like, but this is now. I think I'll tell. I think I've told you about this, but I have a friend who, well, not name, and his wife who, when I was in tech school and we were going through our degree together, that every time we'd get our grades back, we'd go out and go drinking when we got good grades, right? Every time our quarter came back. And at one point, somehow or other, we ended up going down this road of going to strip joints. And the reason we did was because I was in tech class with a bunch of guys and I was the only girl. And for some reason, they thought I would be offended if they all went to a strip joint. And it was like, oh, no, in fact, I know some people in strip joints and I could probably get us in for free. And they were like, oh. And a long story short, we went to a strip club a few times where most of the men ducked out of the strip joint experience because their girlfriends at home might smell somebody's perfume. And it's okay, you talk a big game, but now where are you? We're all going. You're going home.
I got a question for you.
What?
And I'm sure the listeners are interested to know in this too. So what is your motivation to take your boyfriend to a strip club? What are you trying to gain or see or...
And me, probably
just to mix it up. Okay.
Just to mix it up. Like it's not like something that like if you don't go with me, I'll break up with you. It's just like it's usually a novelty thing.
Sure. Yeah.
Like if I've had boyfriends and we've gone to areas
should be
where
novelty things, I think.
Right.
If you go every day, you have a problem.
Exactly. It's almost one of my ex-boyfriends lives down in Florida and we were not far from Miami and we're in Fort Lauderdale and I was like, and I'm in the business, so maybe that's
Right.
it too, because it doesn't
I
faze
think that's
me.
a big part of it. Yeah.
So it's like I've heard about blah, blah, blah club in Fort Lauderdale. I've heard about club, blah, blah in Miami. Since we're 20 minutes away and we're drinking, why not fucking go and play out?
Sure. Yeah.
And have somebody say to me, no, I don't want to do that. Come on. I'm only in this. We're only down here for a week or whatever.
Right.
It's mostly just something fun to do for me. Like, it just doesn't.
Yeah, and I think it's because, I mean, you've been in that.
I'll
not
buy
that
a
you were
guy a
stripper,
lap
you-
dance. I just don't care. These women aren't coming. They're not women that are coming home with
Right.
us. Like,
Nope, I get that.
All of
Yeah.
them probably look at guys I'm with and go, I'm not fucking with that dude. I can't be bothered unless he gives me some money. So, like, it doesn't.
Right.
There's no self-esteem issue for me. But anyway, we got in. We one night we were out, and one of them, like I said, we're both in tech, and we're still good friends, and we were talking about these guys and their girlfriends and wives and whatever. And this one guy says to me, I can't tell my wife I'm here. And I said, why not? And he goes, because then she'll want to come down. When the last time I went to a strip joint, my wife was with me. We ended up bringing somebody home, and I'm like, I need to meet your wife immediately. He goes, are you sure? Because if we call her, it's going to be an all night thing. And I'm like, oh, absolutely. He calls her. She comes down. She comes over. She kisses him. She gives me. He goes here. He gives her a water one. She goes, thank you. She walks away. She sits in front of the stage and goes like this.
Yeah.
And I'm making a face where I'm looking up. And she's throwing dollars. And at some point, she's like, yeah, get over here. No, I think you need to. And no, open that up. And all this other stuff, right?
Yeah,
like, your wife is. I love her. And he goes, oh my God, I just don't want to go home with some random chick, because this is what happened. Some chick showed up at my house. And I'm like, that's the best, because anytime you go out with a guy, it's usually my wife will kill me.
Right. Right.
And
Yep.
in his case, it was like, oh, if she gets wind of this, I won't be able to rein her in.
Yeah.
So
And
recently-
I've been at strip
yeah.
clubs and women, because they can be a lot more dirty with your women than a
Yeah.
guy can. And
Right.
they do. I've seen
Yeah.
it. I was like, geez.
But I'm
that
like,
girl's
I
pretty
love her
aggressive.
because their marriage is such that he's
He
more
trusts-
worried about her, what she's doing.
Yeah, they trust each other. And that's wonderful.
Yeah, and so
Yeah.
they have this really. There's probably 4 or 5 couples I know that are really the best couples I've ever met, and these two are one of my favorite couples where they're just cool like that. And I ran into her. This bar I was working at for about 4 years, and I don't right now, but probably at the end of last year they came in and they came in to dance or whatever. It was like his birthday, I think, or something. And she comes over to me, and I start telling the story to some people I know about how she comes into the strip joint and blows me away. And like, I think she's the best thing ever. It's been a while since we've been to a strip joint. I think we need to go back.
Right.
And I'm like, okay, let's make it, let's set it up or whatever. But it's like, I love moments like that because I don't like typical stuff. I don't like usual stuff. I like something where.
Is that on your dating profile? And if we get along really well, I will take you to a strip club.
If I put that there, I bet you any money somebody would like think it was a trap or something. I don't think they would think I was. I don't know.
They probably would, especially today, because guys are
they would just
petrified
probably
of
be
traps.
like, "Oh my
And there
God,
are. That
what?"
was actually something that when I looked for something about some struggles with dating, and
Mm-hmm.
there are a lot of testings going on, which I think is ridiculous. Don't test me.
I don't think
Don't
that's
create
you.
drama just to see how I handle it. That's terrible because I don't handle drama. I don't like it. And if you create drama, I'm gone.
That's the story I brought up in one of our past podcasts about my friend who was dating 2 guys and threw something out on the phone to see what both of them would say.
Yeah, that's terrible.
And so the guy that failed, did he know he was being tested? Because that's unfair. And what this guy did in response to what you said was like typically normal. It was actually like a respect of your privacy.
Yeah.
Well, the way that he handled, it's a long story. Like I said, go back. I don't know which episode it is, but we did talk about that. Testing is crazy to me. And when I learned all about attachment styles recently, I did some coursework about my attachment style. And I learned that there are certain 2 attachment styles that actually don't like consistent, constant, smooth, peaceful, because they don't know anything about that.
Right.
And I learned that I'm the type that can't wait to get to that point because I hate
Yeah.
volatility. I don't like it.
Yeah. Yeah. I'm with you on that. And that's probably why
Yeah,
I've been
just like-
single for so long, because I don't want all that game playing and stuff. I just don't. I won't play it.
I
Even
get
at the
it to
beginning.
some degree.
I'm
In
not
the
doing
beginning, you have to learn each other and you have to understand what works and
Ask questions.
and how to fall into your dynamic. And yes, communicate a lot. But there's a point in time where the honeymoon stage wears off.
Of course.
And I actually learned, like psychologically, I crave that period. I want that. I want that part where we're done with the beginning. I've had several boyfriends that I've explained to this in the honeymoon stage that have gotten pissed off at me about it. Where we're up until 4 every night talking, and we're having sex 15 times a day, but we need to do our laundry at some point. And at some point, we're going to have to go back to our schedule. This has to level off because this is life.
I think that happens a lot. I think
I want that.
I do too. I prefer that. The honeymoon
people
stage,
keep trying to rattle it up when it calms down because they can't handle the
You're
peacefulness
absolutely
of
right.
it.
Yeah,
they get bored.
And to me, peacefulness in a relationship is what I strive for.
It's sanctuary.
Right? I want to just sit on the couch, not talk to each other, hold hands, and just watch a movie. You know what I mean?
So
I don't, but we do, and I think the problem is that you're right. I think that
it's a brain thing. Like they literally say,
it is your brain.
Our podcast about it comes from childhood. When you're a kid, how your caregivers treat you and respond to you has a lot to do with every fucking thing you do when you grow up. Unless you have some type of therapy or coursework or you do something about your origins, like Dave was saying, where you get your behaviors from.
Right.
And why.
And at least understand those. It's wonderful to be able to understand where your behaviors come from.
You can't change shit that you don't know is happening.
You can't. Yeah.
There's reasons why I do what I do, but for the people that crave that roller coaster ride or the stomach flip, and that's different from attraction. I think traction is another story, but
yes,
there's a point where your relationship should be comforting. And in my case, I love routine. I want routine. I want stability. This is all stuff that I find attractive, and I want it. So when I tell somebody I can't wait to get to the stage if that's going to happen, and somebody's saying to me, it should never be unexciting. It should always be exciting. And I can't fucking deal with that.
You can do things that make it exciting, but it's not going to be an everyday look.
But not where you're worried about the relationship is going to end or not every 5 minutes.
I know that's terrible.
Who wants to go through that?
Listen, and we've talked about this in the past where I had that woman that was a lawyer, and she was every time we would go on a date, all she wanted to talk about is where we are in our future. And I'm like, oh my God, this is such a mundane. Let's get to know each other. Like we can't even have a conversation without it talking about us as together. And great. We're together right now, but I need to learn about you as a person, and you need to learn about me as a person. The couple can't
be like the only thing that matters.
No,
like the individual pieces.
It can't
matter, and those are also just as important. As a matter of fact, those are more important in the beginning because you're trying
of course,
bridge some kind of...
So I do this thing, and I think everybody should do it. I do this thing when I first meet somebody. I say, and it's funny because the way I use it, the way I say it is, do you want to play a game? And they go, whoa, like what game?
The Saw movie comes to mind.
Yeah, I know.
I want to play a game.
Movie. You want to play a game? So I say, do you want to play a game? And they're always like intrigued, and I play a game with it too, and I go, no, you have to agree to it before I tell you what the game is. And they're always like, I'm intrigued, so yes. And I go, okay, I play this game called Q&A. It's very simple. You ask me a question, any question in the world, I don't care what it is, I have to answer it 100% honestly, and then I ask you a question. And you have to answer it 100% honestly. It's the best way to get to know somebody. And it's fun because who doesn't like a good game of truth and dare? But we don't have the dare involved. It's just all truth. And if I ask you a question that may be difficult for you to answer, because don't forget, if you answer a question and I'm not expecting that to be your answer, I'm going to expound on that question and I'm going to get more information. And it's interesting because not only do you learn a lot about the person from them answering your questions, you learn a lot about that person from the questions they ask as well.
Yeah, definitely.
Which is phenomenal. So I think everybody should do that at the beginning and get a lot of that shit out of the way. Because a lot of people have questions. Like one of the questions is, do you want more kids? And if they say yes, guess what?
Yeah. What's this thing about people that are afraid to tell somebody? Don't get me wrong. Everybody has their own private life and whatever. So there's certain things about you that you shouldn't come out with in the first 5 minutes because there's maybe too much information too soon.
That's why the Q&A is good.
Yeah. But also, like, why would somebody hide themselves to keep it from falling apart?
Yeah, that's terrible.
Where they don't want to tell anybody something because they think, especially something like, I don't want kids or I want kids.
Don't you think that's going to come out eventually? And what are you going to do? You're going to tell the person you don't want kids after you're living together or something? How long do you wait? Because the longer you wait...
Let's go back to those marriages in the 50s. That's why none of them they fell apart because nobody talked about that shit until they were 3 years in.
They didn't know each other either. You're talking about back then too.
I know.
It's kind of like saying. It's like the Indian culture, right? They have arranged marriages and they have a very low divorce rate. They have a 2% divorce rate and stuff like that. Because you just
they're
don't
not supposed to get divorced.
But now they even added another step to that too. That they usually are in the same business. So if a girl goes to school for computer programmer, she will marry a guy that's a computer programmer. So they have a lot more in common. It's interesting. I'm not saying it's the right way to do it.
But they're navigating some adjustments, so that's nice.
Yeah. Oh, yeah, they definitely are.
I mean, if you're going to spend your whole marriage getting to know the person you're with, and that's the goal, then that's fine. A lot of times you really want to know some stuff before you get wrapped up in it.
Of course.
That could be dangerous to you, or the relationship not exist based on those things, or whatever. I would say that somebody knowing about Chris Watts before they married him might have been a good idea.
You think?
He's the one that still rattles me because to this day, I don't know what his warning signs were. If you got warning signs, I'm good. But when somebody comes along and has none, and then suddenly just goes familicide with absolutely no, I'm sure there must have been. But anyway, getting back to our topic, it is good to know everything up front if you can. Obviously, there's a timing to it. You don't want somebody that's going to trauma dump you in the first. A friend of mine was telling me that he met a girl who told him that she had been pulled over for drunk driving, some other stuff. It was like he had gone on one date with her, and then she called him and was dumping all this stuff on him about her life. And he's, I want to know, but Jesus Christ, I didn't know her well enough to know some of that stuff was way personal, and maybe I should have known it right away. Now, don't get me wrong, I never dated her again, so it was good information for me to have. But even if it wasn't like stuff that would have caused me a problem down the road, it was extremely personal, extremely over the top, and real soon for somebody to call me and just start telling me, even if it's like your life is Jerry Springer and your family's all, a lot of that stuff is, while it's interesting, is it the right timing for certain things?
I think that sharing at the beginning, I tend to be an oversharer. I tell my stories. And the reason I do is because that's going to tell me a lot of whether or not we're moving forward or not, right? Because if somebody doesn't, so let's say, for example, somebody's interested in marriage and that's what they're looking for, and they want to meet somebody, they want to get married, they're looking for a family or whatever the case is, and you have a very, let's call it a sparkly family life that's a little crazy. Yeah. You might want to let that person know, because it's true, when you marry somebody, you marry their family, right?
Right.
That's part of your life now. Do you have a right to know that at the beginning? I think maybe people are just trying to weed out people that are like, oh, I'm not interested in that. But you might want to let the person, because here's the thing too. I had a very sparkly childhood growing up.
I think most of us did.
Yeah. But I also think that once somebody gets to know me, they're not going to care as much. You know what I mean? Yeah, I think it may behoove you to hold off on that if you're actually a good person that doesn't have those. Because honestly,
how do you know you're a good person? That's where the question.
If you've done the work, right? Like
people that haven't done the work aren't going to know. That's why they make.
So let's say you and I are on a dating site and we're starting to have a video conversation, and you start telling me about all your family craziness. I'm going to think, yeah, she's probably got all kinds of, because I know that shit comes from your childhood, which means. And the shit that comes from your childhood is
But if I tell you, this is why I want to know. If I tell you about my family, which you've heard a lot of it, and a lot of it is nuts.
Yeah,
however,
but you've done the work.
I've done the work, but you don't know that because you've talked to me 2 days or something. And I start telling you, well, my family.
I might have been a little concerned.
Would honestly. You? Yeah, you might be like, ooh, is she going to be a product of that?
Right.
Now, if I say to you, which I would, I don't know about anybody else, I would say, but you know what? I've learned over the years, I did this, I did that. Yeah. I know, even before I did work, I was never like my family. I was like stark opposite of everybody in my family. Yeah. By accident, that's in the way it was.
Everybody says that, though.
No, I know. But I'm just saying, in my case, I can tell you that I'm obviously not anything like them, although my dismissive, avoidant personality did come out of nowhere.
Right, of course. You are a product of your childhood.
I am, but my response to, there's people that have parents that neglect. I am a child neglect fucking case all day. I was a neglected kid. I think a lot of Gen X
I'm laughing at the faces that she made when she said all day, threw her hands up and rolled her eyes like all day.
Yep,
So I'm laughing.
because,
I know you guys couldn't see that, but that's what I'm laughing at. I'm not laughing. I'm not laughing. I just wanted the world to know, whoever's listening, that I'm not laughing because she was neglected.
But at the end of the day, the bottom line of my childhood is that there was parental neglect. There's more to it than that, but there was parental neglect. And two things come out of that. One, a person who's got a bottomless pit of needing reassurance and needing somebody to mirror back to them that they're doing the thing right or that they're not mad or whatever the case may be, create that in their children where their children are perpetually anxious and trying to get attention and trying to get a gauge of whether they're good people. And then there's kids like me who decide, I don't factor my parents into anything, I'll be okay. I can't deal with my parents because my parents are too unstable and I can't predict their behavior. Therefore, I'm going to just cut them out. I'm going to deal with them because I have to. I got to, these people feed me and whatever. But at the end of the day, I'm going to self-soothe and deal with my own feelings and not try to get attention from that because that's not something I can count on that's going to give me what I need. So those are the two things that happen. So I just happen to fall into the category of people that go, well, fuck it, I'll deal with myself. I'm the only one I can count on.
And the listeners can hear that for sure. They can hear your, and it's not a bad thing. You know where it comes from.
The stuff I learned from my mother, I did. I learned there's stuff that my mother did that I didn't like that I now do. And one of them is minimizing people's shit. I know I do it. And people say this and this, and I'm like, then so what? I don't understand any kind of emotional reaction to things. I think the emotional reaction to stuff is useless, and I don't know why anybody would do it or have it. And my whole thing is, look, fix it and move on. Walk it off. Rub dirt on it.
Rub dirt on it and keep walking.
There was a person who said to me recently, oh, you'll be proud of me. I used duct tape to fix some injury while I was on the road doing something. And then I went to the nurse later because I don't have time to be injured right now. Like I was trying to do a thing, and I'm like, I laugh at that because like our whole generation is that. Like our parents taught us, you're fine. You're fine. You're fine.
That literally, they rubbed dirt on it, came from our generation, for sure.
Yes.
Yeah, dirt on it, walk it off.
And then later on, you're like, ooh, maybe that might have been a little bit, it probably was convenient for our parents to just not fucking deal with our shit.
Oh, 100% convenient.
Obviously, it wasn't about us being tough, but they sold us that because we took it and ran with it.
Our parents probably would go to jail today. That lady that just got arrested because she let her 11-year-old walk to the store. I used to walk to the store when I was 5 and 6 years old to get slushies. And I crossed the highway.
I didn't cross the highway, but I crossed the main roads.
Was it? Actually, it's not. Yeah. It looked like a highway when I was a kid. Today, if I drive by there, it's just a 2-lane road. But it's a big road. It's a busy road. But we were allowed to do shit like that. Today, people are going to jail for it. So can you imagine our parents would go to prison for child neglect?
As we think it was okay because this is another thing our generation has to get off that shit because our generation we did it, so it's good enough for everybody. Technically we did it though because we were told how wonderful we were by parents that knew that if they did that we wouldn't fucking bother them. That's basically what happened. Our parents were like wrapped up in their personal
whatever they were doing.
They were smoking, drinking, partying, working a lot of hours. A lot of us had single mothers and we were always working.
Yeah, I was a latchkey kid. I wasn't an only
Me too.
child.
All of us were.
Yeah,
a lot of us.
Yeah, I used to come home from school, let myself in, and I wouldn't see my mother until 2 a.m. when she got home. She would leave like probably noon, and I wouldn't see her at all. I'd leave for school. My mother would be there, and that was the last time I saw her till the next morning. Yep. So,
exactly. And then some of us my mother was famous for doing things before I woke up, and I was a kid that like slept in all the time.
Oh, and by the way, there was no phone calls to check on me or anything. Like I just literally wouldn't see her. Yeah.
And I think I might have had phone calls, but anyway, my mother was different because my mother worked 9 to 5, but. So I would see my mother before I went to school. So I think when I was a kid, we would go to school at 7 or 8 or something. So I'd see her in the morning getting ready for work or whatever. And while I was going to school, I'd come home and my job was, and most of my female friends can tell you, our job was to fucking get dinner ready. We came home, we cleaned, we did our homework because we had to do that, obviously. Then we had to clean the house. If there was anything to clean, it depends on whether we had little siblings.
Oh, yeah, I would get notes.
Yeah.
There would be notes to tell me what to do. Yeah.
1, 2, 3, 4. Can you get this done by the time I get home?
Cut the grass in the backyard. Do this, do that. It was never like, I made dinner and the dinner's in the fridge. No.
We made dinner.
I had to feed myself. Yeah.
But my mother wanted me, when she came home, she was looking to fucking eat. So I had to prep dinner for her to come home. And maybe it was something, if it was like a pot roast or something like that, she would leave me all the ingredients and tell me, put it in the oven at such and such, put it on this temperature, cut this up, peel these potatoes, do all that shit, take this out and put it in.
And guess what? You can cook. There are people today that can't cook. They literally live off McDonald's. Now, we were talking about earlier things that are just nice to do, like we were talking about the strip clubs, right? Going there, it's just like it's a novelty. McDonald's used to be a novelty.
Yes.
It was not a thing like it is
We actually
today.
weren't allowed to go. I don't know about you, but I wasn't allowed to go. It was like a treat. It was like...
Yes, it was a treat. We would go like once a month if you did something
we
good.
did.
Yes. Oh, if you do a good job, we'll go to McDonald's. Hey, McDonald's.
Yeah, you get an A on your report card.
Yes.
Or whatever. But when you think about it, we wanted McDonald's for the novelty of it, but really, we got fed so much better.
Of course.
At home. And I laugh at that Eddie Murphy bit where he says, my mom told me, I got something that's better than McDonald's. And you're like, better than McDonald's? And you will start watching your mother make the hamburger and she's using Wonder Bread and she's putting pieces of, she's cutting up peppers, but she's cutting them so big you can see them hanging out of the hamburger and all this other stuff.
But guess what? It was better than McDonald's.
Best.
It was.
We didn't like them though because they weren't whatever.
McDonald's. They didn't come with a toy and they didn't
That's
have
a really early example of childhood marketing. That's
Yes,
what that
it was.
because the commercials, that's what we saw all fucking morning when we were watching cartoons was McDonald's.
Yeah.
And we wanted
commercials.
the Happy Meal and we wanted whatever.
Only the kids wanted to go. The parents would take the kids to McDonald's because the kids wanted to go to McDonald's.
And they might eat while
Today,
they were there, but they never
it wasn't
really wanted
a thing.
to.
Today, parents are bringing kids to McDonald's because they don't want to cook.
Yeah.
They don't want to take care of the kids.
The kids also, you got to understand, a lot of these parents probably, and this is true because of globalization, a lot of times McDonald's is cheaper because it's all crap. Yeah. And it's easy. It's more convenient because they put it on a $1 menu, or they do it some way where parents are like, all right, all I have to do is stop here on the way home and whatever.
Yeah.
And for them to come home, for them to go to the market, figure out what to eat, bring it home, put it in the fridge, and get it out before the day starts, and throw it out, and all that other shit, and then cook it when they get home, probably seems like an exhausting task for most parents.
That's why we have, what is it, a 78% or 82% now obesity rate in this country?
Yeah.
Think about it.
Yeah.
We don't
like
have time.
It's so weird because of my childhood and the way that I was raised. I have certain things I can cook really well. Am I a fucking chef? No. But there's stuff that my mother taught me that I just picked up because you have no choice.
Yeah.
But all I eat now is fish and vegetables. That's all I eat. Like, it's my entire diet.
Yeah,
it's
there's nothing
so
wrong with
easy to
that.
do.
It's good. Yeah,
it's in the house, and my friends get together. Let's go out to eat. And when I go out to eat, I'm like, fuck it. I feel like I'm in a foreign land because I don't eat out anymore ever.
Yeah.
And I'm just like, I almost want to go, no, I think I'd just rather eat my fish and stay home. But I actually have to now force myself to go to a restaurant once in a while and order something because I'm so used to the cost effectiveness of being home, the cheap, how easy it is to just have shit. You're like, oh, what am I going to eat in the next couple of days? All right, well, I'll take this.
Think of how much food you can actually make at home. How many meals you can make with the cost of one meal going out.
Yes.
So it's not cheaper.
One
to go
meal
out
going out. Like right now, I'll say this: if you go to, and I eat a lot of Whole Foods, but I'm on Prime and they send me shit for free. I don't pay for shipping or delivery or whatever.
Yep.
And I buy stuff that I can.
Sure.
So if you go to McDonald's right now, it'll probably cost you $25 for one meal.
Right.
Or $20 or something like that.
Yeah.
I think the last time somebody said something about it, it was like 19 and change for just what they wanted. I can buy at Whole Foods 2 pounds of wild salmon, fresh wild salmon. It is frozen, but they buy it as wild for $30. And that gives me, if I put it on salad, I might use 2 pieces at a time. That gives me like 4 meals that I usually take 2 or 3 days to eat because I never eat the whole meal. I always split it. So it's like that. Think about how far that goes with this money that I'd be buying at McDonald's one meal, and how none of the McDonald's meal would be any good for me. And how I buy salmon and throw it on top of a salad or several salads. But that's all I eat is salmon on top of salad is all I eat. But anyway, let's go over to you said something about the strip thing and how somebody's value would change if they were somebody that, by the way, if you've ever dated anybody and you see them naked, it might be very nice to see them naked, and it might be nice to know that nobody else sees them naked, but sorry, some other people have because they've dated people before.
Yeah, no, I get that. Yeah.
So that's also, and we can get into body count, which I think is absolute bullshit.
Yeah.
Body count is bullshit.
I don't think that's bullshit.
No,
and I'm
I
not
do.
talking about just for women either. I'm talking about as a whole.
No, the concept, I should tell you what I mean by that, instead of throwing words out there. What I mean by this is that this is basically about the body count thing that men throw out there. And again, where they're getting it from, Andrew Tate, I don't fucking know, But the more women have slept with, the less her value is, right? Okay, but the more experienced she becomes. I personally believe that men want women who haven't slept with a lot of men because it pulls them out of the comparison arena. If you're a man and you meet a woman who likes sex, most men are like, oh, she likes sex. Why does she like sex? What does that mean? I think most men are like, that might mean that I might do it and it might not be good. She might evaluate my sexual prowess based on her liking sex. That means she's had good sex. That means she's had sex that she enjoys. So does that mean that I might not be up to par? That might be a pride thing for me, where if I sleep with her and do it wrong, that makes me have to question my own skill. I'm sorry, but I believe that's part of it. And I believe the less a woman knows about sex and the less experience she's had, the more likely a guy can pull off the fact that he's good in bed with a woman who doesn't know the difference. I believe that. I do.
And I've talked about this with other people in the past.
Good.
There are actually hormonal changes that happen within people's bodies when they have sex with multiple people. I'll give you an example. Let's take the hormonal changes away for a minute and talk about birth control. There's a great study that shows that when we meet the person that we're truly a match with, even though we don't smell it directly, we actually smell things we're low in. So let's say I'm low in a specific chemical within my body that's needed, whatever it might be, and the woman has more than I have, I'm going to be attracted to her, and vice versa. And it's crazy because we never think about that. They were able to do a blind test with women and men, a shirt for 6 days without showering. And women could tell when the women smelled, they could see what was missing in the women and what was higher in them. They would choose the man that had the higher one because now they could have a perfect baby.
Okay.
And this is science. I know it sounds crazy. So when you have sex with a bunch of different people, those hormones change. So every time you have sex with somebody, you're going to exchange hormones, and it literally changes your DNA. So if you have a plethora of sex with a bunch of different people, your hormones start to change. Male and female, both.
Right.
So it doesn't just affect the females. It does devalue both people if they want to have a child together because their hormones are going to be affected by other people's hormones. Outside of childbirth, I don't think it's going to really make a difference except for what each other are attracted to. We're finding that if I've slept with 100 women, then when I meet the right girl for me, I'm not going to know she's the right girl for me because I've changed my hormones.
Then the right girl will change.
And the right girl will be somebody else. And eventually, if we wait thousands of years from now, nobody will be right for each other. That's what these studies have shown. But it does have it does have its value. It's a biological value.
True, but let's take the 100 out of it because I think that's a nice number and it's a round number and it's good to use. But I don't think that's your average example.
No, of course not.
I think that most, of course, we've never been outside of that from the model of the 19th or the 20th century. Or maybe we have and we don't remember it anymore because of how the world was in the 1800s or whatever.
Right, yeah.
But I personally believe that guys that seek out women who've not had a lot of sex and make it a problem that a girl has a high body count, which, by the way, is usually a low number, so we usually can't win on that. To me, that's what that theory covers. That's what's under that. Nobody will ever tell you.
Where do we draw the line of who they are as a person, right? Because if somebody's 20 years old and they've already slept with 40 guys,
wait a minute,
that doesn't seem like a good person to me. I've personally spoken to girls.
I don't think that's the norm.
I think it's becoming the norm, right? You're talking about these guys.
What about a man who's 20 who slept with 20, 40 women? What's the difference? It's
just as bad. Like, where are your values? Do you have any?
Why would sex be compared with values? So that's, to me, that's an old-fashioned concept.
It's not. It's a self-respect thing. I don't know. It's just okay to give something that it's supposed to.
It's the give-take thing. Now, we're going to get to the language under that. Mm-hmm. In all of my sexual experiences, I don't believe I've given. I believe I've taken.
Okay.
What's the difference? If you sleep with somebody, I think both people are giving and taking.
Yes, of course.
But the concept of give and take depends on who you talk to. Some people think women are giving up something that they should be saving for somebody else, where in actuality, both people involved in a sexual act are giving. There are people who lean towards especially I think with women, it's more prominent that when men are thinking women should give and they should take. When a woman does, by 30, she slept with 10 men. She's given herself to 10 men. What do you mean she's given herself to 10 men? These are men that have given to her, and she's taken from them.
Listen, I get it. If somebody's sexual, and I'll be the first to say that I'm a sexual guy, and so if I'm single, of course, I try to have a stable person that I sleep with, a friend with benefits. That's the one that I'm only having sex with. But then there are people that, and I've met some, that literally, they will not have sex with the same. They like the newness in the fresh, new sex.
Yeah.
Okay, so if you like that new sex, then you don't belong in a relationship, is really what it's going to come down to.
This matters if somebody's trying to get into one, first of all, because a lot of times these people aren't.
Right.
As a matter of fact, I think people like that are usually trying to avoid it.
I would think so. Yeah.
And so somebody may come along and try to make a relationship out of them, and that's like a personal issue on their side.
Right. Yeah.
But in general, if somebody at some point says, this is the kind of life I had, but I'm not doing that anymore. I'm at the point now where I want to settle down. What makes them less valuable than somebody who wants to settle?
So I personally, I don't think they're less valuable. And especially at my age, everybody has a past, right? I literally have friends that are in their 40s and I don't want a woman that has kids. I'm like, good fucking luck with that. You know what I mean? It's like, you don't want somebody that has kids. Guess what? Too bad, because you waited way too long in life to decide you don't want to be with somebody.
Although my statement is, you can ask for whatever you want. You can say you want whatever you want.
Right.
There's nothing wrong with but
I understand
you have to be
realistic. But you have to be realistic, because here's the thing. I literally have a male friend that's in his 40s, and he does not want to be with a woman that ever had kids at all. But yet he wants kids. Guess what? If you want kids and you meet a woman that wants kids, she probably wanted kids and already has kids. So you're asking for something that's going to be near and...
It sounds to me like he's trying to justify wanting somebody who's younger.
And that's okay too. But at what point, what is younger, right? See, I don't have a problem being with a younger woman. I'm more active than most women that are my age.
So there's people that are interested in younger women because they're open to it. And there's people that are young women because they're focused on it. In his case, he might be pulling an indirect
it's true. That could be absolutely
argument
correct.
For, I need to go out with women younger because everybody my age already has kids. And I want kids. Why didn't you have kids 20 years ago? What's
the question,
your deal?
Right? Because if you meet a woman that's 40 years old and she wanted kids, she's got kids. Most women don't decide at 40 that, you know what? I decide now I want kids.
As a matter of fact, if you want a woman who has no kids after 40 and you're looking for that, you're not going to find...
No.
It's actually not...
If she hadn't had kids already, she don't want them. And it's not biologically stable. Yeah. I mean, you're getting to an age now where you're a little past the point,
So you want them younger. And like I said, it's okay if it's not a goal.
Right.
And
I
it's
agree
the
with
only
that.
thing you're focusing on. You're going to be Leo DiCaprio about this, which I'm sorry, but that's what's going on with him, or Anthony Kiedis, or Dane Cook, or whoever.
Yeah.
Where somebody's extremely young, and you know that, yes, I married this person at 18 or 19, but then when you look back, you're like, ooh, this person was knowing this person since they were 16 and just waiting for them to be of legal age, and that's a little bit creepy.
Yeah, it is.
But the value thing is weird.
At least do that part if you're gonna.
But still, it's still grooming. It's just grooming.
It is.
If you're hanging around a girl that's 15 and you're 30 something, it's just fucking. What are you doing? It's grooming.
Yeah.
And so, sure, it's legal when they turn 18, but still, if they've known you for 2 or 3 years, you have to go, what the fuck happened there?
And then you end up with them when they turn 18. Yeah, you definitely.
Yeah. Oh, you married them at 18 because you were waiting. And like I said, these guys, you look around and you look at their past and you can see them in the background in an age where it was just really questionable for them to be even there.
Right.
And that's why 18 is legal, but still your brain doesn't fucking function correctly till you're 25. So you don't make good choices until then anyway. And we're back to, I think that it's easier to find a woman who hasn't made the right choices or decided what she wants yet and lock her in before she decides she wants something different, so that she has to legally disentangle herself to get away from you. But what was I going to say? But the value thing where, yes.
The value thing, yes.
is definitely
I think
interesting. And somebody saying to me with the selfie thing, which got a way far away from was that if I sent them a picture of myself that somebody else didn't see, then it meant more, and I don't get the concept.
Yeah, no, look, I kind of understand that. I'm a sentimental guy. I'm sentimental, which I know you would hate that. I know. But it doesn't matter. It's who I am. And so I can understand that a little bit. At the beginning, not so much, right? So if somebody takes a picture, and so do you remember back in the day, I don't know if you remember this, girls for Valentine's Day used to go to those, what was that called? The photo shoot thing that girls could do in the mall.
We did it for more than just Valentine's Day. You're talking about
glamour shots or something like that. Yeah. So they would go to glamour shots and get taken for their guy and be like, it's a gift, right? Yeah. That meant a lot, right? Because it was something you did for me.
And now, it was specifically for you.
So I understand that because now
I understand it too if you're in a relationship.
Yes. Oh, yeah. Not at the beginning, right? That's what I said. Not at the beginning. But once you're in a relationship, yes. So that's where I think that things do matter because if you take that picture, imagine if my girlfriend gave me that for Valentine's Day and next thing I know it's on a webpage. That was not my gift anymore.
That's different because I think it's if somebody's in that situation you're talking about, it would be different anyway because somebody's telling you straight out, look, this is a gift for you. So it would be like deceptive almost if that's not what was happening and you see it elsewhere other than, hey, you both broke up and she's got the proofs or something.
Sure.
And so she decides might as well use them. What the hell, they're going to go to waste anyway, and then puts them on some dating profile or whatever. So that's
it doesn't matter at that point,
after the fact thing. But what's important
again is this thing of service, right?
It's this thing about I have to mention guys getting really familiar in the beginning of talking to them where they're expecting like almost not exclusivity, but where you're like, oh, I've been talking to you for 3 days and you're not talking to any other guys, are you?
That's none of your business at this point. Yeah.
Assume we both are doing this.
Yeah. I don't even discuss that because if I meet somebody,
we could ask that.
I know, I do too. But in all fairness, like if I meet somebody and I'm truly interested, and like I said, meet somebody. First of all, it's not. I can promise you that if I'm and this is for all the ladies out there, if I meet you on a dating site and we have not met in person yet, I am talking to other people, 100%. Now, the thing is that once I meet somebody in person, if I'm interested in that person, I'll focus there. And I don't need to be talking to a whole bunch of other people. I'm not that guy. I believe that if I'm interested, then it's worth my time. And it doesn't mean that I'm looking for the bigger, better thing. Because today, we're living in a society of disposable dating. And I'm not interested in that at all. Because honestly, here's the thing. I could meet somebody in person, get along great with them. I guarantee you I can find somebody better. I guarantee it. There's going to be better people out there than everybody. Doesn't matter who you meet.
Right.
I can meet Angelina Jolie and be like, oh, my God, when she was younger. And the thing is that there are other people out there that I could find more attractive and better people. But if I continue doing that, then when do I say, okay, this is where I put my attention? So I do that right from the beginning.
Okay.
To give it a fair shot, right? Otherwise, how do I ever know?
But even if you're like, let's say even within the first 2 dates of being with somebody, and I'm not talking about the meet. I always call the first meeting the meet. It's not a date.
That's a meeting. It's not a date. Right.
They just, this is the first time we're in person and you're getting to sniff them out at that point. But even 2 dates in, you're going to be still talking to other people. Now, they may go by the wayside, but like to tell them like, hey, everything's got to stop. You've got to shut it all down.
No, first of all, I would never say that. It should be the
person's choice.
100%.
But there are people who will expect that out of you.
It's not a question that I would ask at that point either. And first of all, I still am like, I'm not in high school anymore. You can tell when you're in a relationship.
I know, but it's not still, something that communication is still good.
Right. And then if you feel as though you want to pursue this, then you straight up say, hey, is this something that we're going to pursue? Like, or not? And at this point, I'm not talking to anybody else because I think we're beyond that. And I just want to know if you feel the same way. If you don't, that's okay too. Because either you're going to or you're not. And then I can make decisions based on that. Because if I'm way ahead of the game and I'm like falling in love with this woman and she's still dating and doing stuff and she's not interested.
How fast does it take you to fall in love with somebody?
I don't know. It's organic for me. You know that. I believe in you just let it go how it's going to go.
Yeah.
It's not. It takes 5 dates to fall in love. I don't know that.
I'm a dismissive avoidant, so, my falling in love thing is not even a concept at that point. Like, it's going to be within a year, maybe. Or I might get into it 6 months in, but that's still early for me.
Yeah, me too.
So that's definitely not
feeling it's an emotion.
So if somebody's still talking to people 6 months in, now we're talking about a different situation.
Exactly.
That's what I'm saying. But within 1 or 2 dates.
No.
And I will say this. I've heard guys say to me, I don't want to talk to a girl who's been talking to other guys or who's talking to other guys. Okay, then don't date.
Don't talk to any girls.
Because it's not feasible. It's not feasible for you to tell somebody to stop talking to everybody else. And I don't think anybody's going to tell you yes anyway about that. But to expect women to think you're
and I would have a problem with that. Not that I would ask that question, but if I did and they lied, then they lied. They're a liar.
No, I can't. I mean that I don't think that a girl is going to say, yes, I'll do that.
Oh, no.
They're going to tell you, what are you, fucking crazy?
Yeah.
And the same thing on the other side. So when I say to you, hey, listen, you're talking to other people because that's where we're at right now.
Yeah, if somebody asked me that question, I would straight up answer the question honestly. That's it. Right. Don't ask me a question you don't want the answer to.
And also, guys will not talk to a woman who's having any kind of sex while she's single.
That doesn't make sense to me. That's stupid.
It doesn't make sense to me, but wait a minute. If they're not with anybody, what difference does it make? I don't want to be putting all of my eggs into a basket where she's just can get sleeping with some dude over here. And I'm like, that's not really what I'm asking.
I have a friend who happens to be sitting right here next to me who is one of those guys. He would definitely not even consider a girl if she's having sex with somebody else, even if she's single.
I got news for these men.
People have sex.
But is it like, it almost puts women in a deceptive place. Like, it almost puts women in a place where they've got to almost lie about it. Because not that they would, but I'm just saying it puts you in this no-win situation as a woman to hear anybody say that. When I'm dating somebody, I meet a guy, we click, whatever. Yep. We were on 1 or 2 dates, and I think this guy's cool. It never crosses my mind that he wouldn't be sleeping with somebody up until that point. Because I assume, why wouldn't he be? He's single.
Just because you're looking for somebody doesn't mean that you're still not sexually active.
It's weird to me. So I have to bring this up because I've heard this from more than one guy, and I don't know if this is a competitive thing, if it's an ego thing, a pride thing. I don't know what it is. Maybe ask the friend next to you, what is it? What's the deal? What difference does it make? This person is a free agent.
Right. Yeah.
So until you guys get involved, maybe you don't want somebody else or somebody that you like, but you do about that.
I don't know if I'm correct, and he's sitting right here listening, and he can't hear your side of the conversation. So I'm going to ask, knowing him, it's more of an energy thing for him. He feels that if somebody's giving out that kind of energy elsewhere, that he's not interested in receiving that energy.
Doesn't tell me anything.
Is that correct? Oh, he doesn't want to compete.
Is it a competitive thing?
That's exactly. It is a competitive thing.
But there isn't a competition. Because me being me, when I've been between boyfriends, I've had sex with people. If I meet somebody that I like, there isn't any competition.
That's
the person I'm sleeping with now, if I was going to be with them and there was a competition, I wouldn't be single.
Yeah, exactly. And that's the way I look at it too. So if I meet a woman and she is currently sleeping with somebody else, I don't consider that competition because you're right, she's not dating him. If he was competition, she wouldn't be looking for somebody else to date.
She's either involved with the person she's sleeping with and not looking for anything else, or she's having sex and doesn't care if she dates anybody, so she wouldn't even really be on the market.
Yeah. And so one of his concerns is that maybe she's not dating him, but is that somebody that she's going to want to keep in his life? So it sounds to me like it's a competitive thing. Okay, and he said yeah. But if she starts dating you and stops sleeping with him, and then it's no longer competitive.
Right. If she meets you and likes you, then she's going to want to sleep with you. This is how I am as a woman.
Oh, okay. So his more concern is the other guy.
Why?
Because he believes that the guy's not respectful enough to respect the new relationship, and he's going to continue trying to do that. But that would be up to her. Oh, yeah. He thinks comments that the other guy would make or whatever he says, it would be a disrespectful thing, and he doesn't even want to be involved with it. Which, that's
he
fine.
Won't hear any of that stuff, so he won't know. The other guy wouldn't have any clue because he's just like a human dildo.
So, yeah, and she is true. She has a fuck buddy. And she just said the guy, to her, is nothing more than a human dildo. Yeah, you're not sharing his semen. It's not
Yeah,
what's
that's
gonna happen.
what is that?
But he's the guy that looks into all those studies and stuff about the hormonal changes and stuff when people have sex, which I understand because it's pretty deep. Some of the stuff that they're finding out. To me, I don't look at it that deep, nor do I want to look at it that deep because I have read some of the things and I find it very interesting. But I think that emotions don't play a huge role in your hormones, do have to match to be in a relationship at all anyway. You're not going to choose that regardless. Now, the guy might have the right hormones to have sex with, but he doesn't have the right hormones to build the rest of the relationship that goes with it. To me, sexuality is sex, right? I have friends with benefits, but I'd much prefer to
think about a woman saying to you, if you're sleeping with any women, then I can't date you.
Right.
Yeah, that would just eliminate everybody, wouldn't it?
Yeah, 100%.
So how does that? It's weird to me. I think people are maybe unrealistic about.
He's not one that just says those things. He practices that on his side too. In fairness, that's what he's looking for. And there are women out there, I'm sure, that feel the same way he does, maybe. And the thing is that if he's not being promiscuous or having friends with benefits and he's waiting for that, then I'm sure he'll meet the right person.
That's actually fine. I'm just saying.
Yeah, no. It's totally fine. I respect it.
I found that interesting as a conversation to have with a couple of guys where they were just like, oh, no, she can't be having anyone. I'm like, wait a minute. What do you think these women are doing? Do you think they're home like just knitting? What do you think they're doing when they're not involved? Like
exactly.
So whatever. Anyway, we should wrap this up.
We do.
We have covered a lot of ground.
We have.
And being that it's been a once a month thing, we've got a longer podcast than usual, but I'll split it up. But anyway, it's good because people, they need more of us, I think.
Okay.
This month.
We'll get there.
We'll get there.
It's a special Valentine's gift for everybody.
It is.
It's February. Yeah.
A little bonus.
Even though it was yesterday.
Bonus.
Yeah.
It was yesterday, but
I didn't get any.
Is the 15th,
I didn't get any flowers from you.
You didn't get any flowers from me, and nobody else did either. You got to be in the hospital. You want flowers? You better go get in the hospital.
You want flowers? You better be in the hospital.
I'll send you flowers when you're in the hospital. I guarantee it. But until then, I did get flowers yesterday from somebody, but it was somebody who's a friend of mine who brought me bookmarkers with flowers on them, and I love that because I'd much rather have bookmarks
something usable.
I read. Yeah, and flowers die and whatever. And she didn't have to do that, but I thought that was really cool. So
they're useless. They're good for decorations.
If you're gonna bring me flowers, bring me fake ones. At least I know.
If you're gonna bring me flowers, I need them like once a week so I can keep them around the house. Otherwise, there's no point. They're going to be dead, and then I'm going to go. No,
that's why bring me fake ones. That's why I want fake flowers. That way,
fake flowers are good.
I can dust them off. I don't have to water them.
You can even come over and spray them with perfume once in a while. So when I walk by, I go, "Oh, that smells like her." Especially whoever
that her be. We are Lana and Dave. We are signing off.
We are. I was definitely Dave, and you were definitely Lana.
I was, and I continue to be. I think, and so do you.
Yes, I do.
www.lanaanddave.com. That's where our podcast platforms are. That's where all our social media is. And at some point, an 800 number will pop up. But in the future.
We got to bring that back. Yeah.
Although, I want everybody who's listening to this to give us your feedback on this. If there's something that you have that you can tell us a story about based on this, would be great.
Do you want the 800 number to come back? Because it's not free. And we were paying for it for months and literally got like 3 phone calls on there. So it was not cost effective.
And one of them was from somebody we know. And I think the other one was a test call that you made.
Both of them were from people we know personally. One was on my end and the other one we both know her. But yeah, so we didn't get a lot of phone calls. So it wasn't cost effective. If you want us to bring back the 800 number, we will. But you damn well better use it. Otherwise, we don't need it.
Right. We also need to get on YouTube, by the way.
Yes, we do.
And we will work on that, I think.
Yes.
This month. So, yeah, that's where all of our stuff is. We still have our www.buymeacoffee.com/Lane and Dave. We still have that?
Yeah, we do.
Because that would be really great. Buy us some coffee. We love coffee.
Like coffee. I love coffee.
We drink a lot of coffee and supply chain issues. We want to make sure we don't run out of any coffee. So that would be cool. And then download our podcast, subscribe, give us a 5-star review. That helps.
And share it.
Yes, definitely share it. If there's somebody that would really be interested in our topic here today or any of our other podcasts, by all means, share. And if you have to pull their phone out of their hands so that they do it right, then do it.
That's right.
We were talking about this last month. iPhone users, you already have a podcast platform on your phone, if you didn't know that. And I believe if you have a Samsung or something like that, what are the podcasts that they normally get?
I'm not sure what the Samsung has for podcasts. But it's on every podcast app.
I just know that iPhone has an app that it's just built in.
Yeah, because iHeartRadio has a podcast section now. So you could get it there if you have
Audible,
it's on Spotify.
Spotify, yep.
Yeah, it's on all those.
We just got to get YouTube going, and we will do that.
Yeah, it's even on Amazon too, so you can get it there.
Audible,
yeah.
yep.
Audible.
Okay.
Well, you guys have a great day, and we will talk to you again next month.
Yes, I hope
Thanks
this is
listening.
a good one.
I like it. It's always a good one. It's a good conversation. If they don't like it, they don't know how great we are conversating with each other. Yes. We did a whole hour-long thing before this, too, before we even hit record.
We're sick of each other now, so.
Yeah, we're done.
All right. You guys have a great month, and we will talk to you soon. We'll be pulling in on St. Patrick's Day when we come back, but in the meantime.
Yeah. Thanks for listening.
Bye-bye. Hey, you just listened to Love and Life with Lana and Dave. Thanks for joining us, and we hope you enjoyed it. If you did, please share the podcast, leave us a comment or review, and don't forget to subscribe so you don't miss any new content. We'll see you soon.